Tea. I love tea. Just to put it in context, I like bananas, but I don't love bananas. Tea for me is it not only is a great drink, but if someone dies in the family, we have a cup of tea. If we've just had a meal as a family, we have a cup of tea. When I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of tea. The last moment in the day, normally around 3 or 4 o'clock, I have my last cup of tea. And it's a sad moment because I know until the next day, I won't be having another cup of tea. So for me, it's not just a drink. It's almost my lifeblood. And I know you can't smell this, but even after drinking all that tea, I still just think it is the most glorious product man has ever invented. So anyway, I'm British. Am I British? I've got a British passport, right? And so the Brits have these ridiculous things called tea bags. And in here is some bits of tea leaves that we're going to put some hot water through and then add milk or lemon or sugar or a combination of the three. And I always thought that was the only option. Obviously, this can also come just as tea leaves without the bag. And for a Brit, you're either tea leaves or your tea bag. So you'd put it in your cup and you would simply add hot water. Now, when I came to Malaysia, I could not find, so on the British supermarket shelf, there'll be at least 6 to 10 other brands of tea bags for you to choose from. And people have their favourites, from Yorkshire tea to PG Tips to Tetley to the Marks and Spencer do their own tea. This is actually a Marks and Spencer tea bag. Oh, it's so good. And so you'll gravitate to your favourite brew. And being 40 whatever, I've always just tea bag in, hot water, milk. Some people do the milk first, then the hot water with the tea bag. Others do the tea bag in the cup and then the milk after. It's a whole nother conversation. I obviously have my own theory on the correct way that should be done. And preferably, well, the true way is obviously a teapot. A couple of these in a teapot, or tea leaves if you're a purist. You let it percolate, and then you pour that into your cup with a little bit of milk in the bottom. Anyway, that's the way the British would serve the tea. Now, when I came here, like I say, went into just our standard grocer. Maybe other grocers are different, but the one I go to, there's not, if at all, any British tea bags, or they call it English breakfast tea. There's maybe 1 or 2 offerings, not a full selection. And I was surprised because I thought we were in the tea region. Eventually, when I went out, and I thought, they serve coffee, they're gonna serve tea. And nowhere serves, I'm gonna say nowhere, McDonald's weirdly serve tea in this format, but nowhere else does. I know I'm now going to be corrected in the comments because no doubt someone will serve this type of tea. But instead I was noticing things like T-O and Teh Tarik or Teh Tarik and various other tea words, but not tea bags. And I spent a bit of time in a supermarket to get to the bottom of this. And what they do have here, Teh Tarik, like this one, and it's all in this bag. Now, Bo is a Malaysian brand from, I believe it was founded in the Cameron Highlands somewhere in the 1900s. And I think Bo is the main Malaysian tea brand that some guy, it was actually a British colonial guy that started the tea plantation in Cameron Highlands. And it was Indian Muslims who first kind of brought tea to Malaysia. And from there, this is granulated, and it's got like I think it's condensed milk, dried condensed milk, and sugar, basically. So sugar, some, let's call it condensed milk, because it's not regular milk, and your tea granules that are in instant dissolvable format, as opposed to tea leaves. And anyway, eventually, I put 2 and 2 together. It did take a while, because I couldn't understand why there weren't tea bags. I never knew this existed. So doing a little bit of research, what I found out is, obviously the Brits are used to this tea bag and the milk. So dairy is not a huge thing in Malaysia. And also the storage of milk in 35 degrees is a problem. Whereas condensed milk stores very well just on a shelf in this temperature. So hence they've gone for condensed milk. How they got to powdered tea granules, I don't know yet the answer to. But I'm wondering why the Brits aren't. Because we're going to do a taste test in a second. But I hate to say it, but the granule condensed milk format, with or without sugar, goes against all my tea-ness, all my tea within me. It's better than this. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I am, because it is. This is just simply better. It's absolutely delicious. So anyway, I got some others here. It's a slight concern. So this bag is the less sugar variety, because Malaysia has a high incidence of diabetes, and having lots of sugar is not so much good for you. So I always try and seek out the less sugar variety. So I think this one is either no sugar or very little sugar, because I guess both milk and condensed milk have some level of carb in them, but what I definitely don't want is added sugar. So I've had this one, and it is also delicious. Because obviously once I found this whole packet thing, I then went crazy to find which one I liked, as you would, your favorite tea bag. The other one I tried is the Lipton. It's very good. It's got that Lipton flavor. Do you know what I mean? It's got that unique Lipton taste to it. And the one I haven't yet tried is Old Town milk tea. Milk tea versus Teh Tarik might be slightly different flavor, but that'll be interesting. So anyway, this is how tea is served in Malaysia. I'm sure some people, don't worry about correcting me in the comments, I'm sure some people do tea bags, but as far as I can tell, the majority go for the Teh Tarik option, and this is the instant format. There is also, I've seen videos, because while I was figuring out how I get tea here, there's a whole tea pulling technique for making this in a proper fashion. So they do this great big pouring thing from one pot to another to get the most flavor out of the tea leaves, and they do it from a great big height. And I think what might be the winning element to their tea over British tea is, well, I don't want to use a bad word, but sometimes, even in England, someone will make you a tea with a tea bag and the milk, and we would describe it as cat's piss. If someone gets it wrong, it's like, oh, thanks for the cup of cat's piss. Whereas when you make a cup of this, you almost can't go wrong, because all this goes in a cup and you just stir it in, and it's the perfect combination every time. So you're never going to get served that cat's variety of tea. And I believe the use of the condensed milk powder adds a little almost thickness to the water, because with just milk and the tea leaves versus the granules with the condensed milk, you get a slightly thicker, just very, very slightly, a thicker blend. And I also think, and I don't know if if the colonials would be happy, that the flavour of this bow tea from the Cameron Highlands is just something else. And so, I hate to say it, but when I now have a choice between this version, and this version, I go for this every time. So another thing that the UK doesn't have, we have kettles. So we have this ridiculous thing where you fill up your kettle with water, and then for 3 to 5 minutes, you listen to your kettle struggle away trying to boil the water. Whereas Malaysia, normally you get one of these cuckoo things, where cold water on the right, hot water on the left, and your cup of whatever is ready to go. In the UK, people are now starting to put in hot water taps on their sinks, but still, we're still on a kettle. I mean, it's hard to believe that we're still doing kettles. Lost my tea bag. Okay, so this is how you do it as a Brit. You get your boiling water going in there. I always like to give it a little stir, somewhere about there. Right, we're gonna let that set a little bit. Gonna let the tea bag do its thing. All right, then I'm not so big on the dairy, so I have this outside stuff. In the UK, we were seeing Oatly, but in Malaysia they have Oatly and they have outside, and I actually prefer outside. So in goes some of that. All right, so then normally I would let my tea brew just a little bit. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this bow one, just as a comparison, because, well, this one's my favorite. Okay, now the beauty of this is, there's all your powder, in we go. Get that going. I mean, you can already see the luscious colour. And with this one, I don't need to worry about leaving room. You know, normally a cup of tea, you need to leave enough room for the milk. And then the other issue is the whole debate around milk first. I personally, if it's a hard water area, I like to add the milk first because it doesn't separate. In soft water, you don't need to worry, but in hard water, you get a scummy like surface bit that's really horrible. So it means I generally go for milk first, just to offset the chance of it being separating when you add the milk. Okay, so there's our visual difference. Here's our Teh Tarik, and here's our British version of the tea. That's had probably a couple of minutes now to brew. So we're going to get rid of the tea bag. And then this one, you can see kind of almost creamy. And then that's it. Obviously choosing the flavour between your Teh Tarik is, you know, like just similar to the tea bags. But it's so weird now looking at this, because it really does, that phrase of cat's wee. It really now does look like cat's wee, as opposed to the Teh Tarik that looks like something you'd actually want to drink. Anyway, if you're a Brit and you're wondering, where do I get the tea? You need to move to the Teh Tarik. Cheers.